As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be
Oh
a
man,
home
it's
run.
8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a...
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
BravBros. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of BravBros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody, for whoever wants to listen. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Mr. Shooter Magooter. Shoots, what's up, dude?
Well, I can tell you right now, I'm feeling a lot better than you are.
You sure are.
And it's not often that I get to play this card because I'm either sick or hungover or whatever. You're usually, angry about something, but for the most part, right now you're in rough shape, and it is nice to be on this side of the couch.
Yeah, so it was my brother-in-law's wedding last night. Congratulations to Chris and Laura. They got married down in Sea Isle. And as you guys know, I do not drink. This is not a hangover. However, I danced for 3 hours straight, like without stopping. And they had it was almost like a rave theme. Like they had the glow sticks, but they were big styrofoam sticks. They were pretty cool, actually.
I love those.
Yeah, I like those a lot.
Yeah, they're a good prop.
They had the music was good. It wasn't just like it wasn't just that,
Yeah.
but they mixed that in between some like rap songs and stuff. It was a good DJ, but it was like literally nonstop. So I am wrecked right now. I went to sleep at like 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep because we were in bunk beds with Lisa and Kyle and the other. So it was me and Dev on one side of the room. I was on the top bunk, Dev on the bottom bunk, and then across the room was Lisa and Kyle, friends of ours. And they were sleeping in the same room. And when I sleep in situations like that, it's not that I'm uncomfortable. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that I'm going to affect everyone else's sleep in the room by either snoring or just like making too much noise. And I really don't snore as much anymore. Dev can attest to that unless I'm on my back. But I'm so nervous I'm going to ruin their night of sleep that I don't sleep. So I got like 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours of sleep.
Yep.
Got up. Tried to cook breakfast for everybody because I knew they'd be in like much worse shape than me because I wasn't hungover. So I drove around Sea Isle. There's no grocery stores there. Literally
Yeah,
none.
there's one Acme that I can think of.
It's like over by, or we were in Stone Harbor, sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it's all the way.
Short points, right, bud?
Whatever.
You're offending a lot of people.
I don't give a fuck right now. It was in Avalon is the Acme. So I was like, all right, well, what can I do? So I went to a cafe to get bagels to make breakfast sandwiches because Wawa's, they sell bacon and eggs.
Yep.
I always know that. So I got bacon and eggs there. I went to this bagel stop. I was like, I need 6 bagels. They're like, we can't give you 6 bagels. I was
Why?
like, why not? They're like, you have to call ahead. I was like, for half a dozen bagels? I was like, how many can I get? They're like, 3. I was like, give me 3 of them. So went back, cooked breakfast. What the point of the story is, I haven't gotten a lot of sleep. And then when I got home, I had to watch OC, which I wasn't in a bad mood today, but I was teetering. And that sent me over the edge. So,
yeah, I mean,
here we
that'll
are.
do it. And obviously, we're clearly releasing this a day later.
Yep.
But you didn't get a chance to watch OC in all of its glory. I made sure to do it earlier in the week, and I was sitting down watching football. You would text me about OC, just kind of going off about how terrible it is. And I really didn't want you to bring me down because I knew that the podcast was going to bring me down. I know you didn't.
I didn't. I said, I got you. My bad.
Yeah, you did a good job. But yeah, the show fucking, oh God,
It's
man.
brutal. I will share with you one funny story from the wedding that, so in the beginning of like the reception, like they all come in or whatever, and it's the first song and like they hit it with a banger. We're all on the dance floor. Everyone's jumping around. It was fun. The bride comes in and I had a corsage on, right?
Yep.
Pinned to my lapel here on the left shoulder. And she wanted to crowd surf. So I picked her up on my shoulder, right? So she's sitting on my shoulder. We're bouncing up and down or whatever. The pin on my corsage starts stabbing me in the chest repeatedly, but I have the bride on my shoulders. I
Yeah.
can't drop the bride.
Nope.
So I'm grimacing every single time I let her down. I have fucking blood on my white shirt. So my shirt's ruined. I can show you the shirt after this. That's how I started my evening.
Oh my God.
And it was, again, it was a fucking blast. But yeah, that's my one story for you.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one before.
Nope, that was a first for me as well.
Well, that'll happen. That'll certainly happen. But yeah, I mean, pretty much what you're saying about like the DJ songs going in there. There's always like a fucking line dance, like the goddamn wobble or some bullshit like that. That's just, like, nobody ever asks for. That's when you take a break. You're out there for a little bit. You're way more of the like, we'll dance to anything.
I will.
I use props to dance around, and as I get drunker, then I do actually dance.
Yep.
There's always a break in there. You can go to the bathroom, you can go to the bar, you can go chit chat with somebody while like some dumbass music's playing for a little bit. It sounds like you didn't get a break.
Zero.
Gotta be tough.
breaks. They had a couple of slow songs, and actually a fairly solid slow dancer, so I like to showcase my skills a little bit. So I danced with Dev's mom. Shout out Susie Q, and like threw her around the dance floor a little bit. Like I had to show off just a touch. I'm like, what is it in Wedding Crashers? He's like, I knew I shouldn't have danced. Why
Yes.
shouldn't have showboated. But overall, amazing night. I was in a good mood today. OC brought me down, but enough about that.
Hey, you're good. You just take the day. Obviously, OC brought you down. We get to do this, and then the rest of the night you get to chill.
Yep.
You got football tomorrow. We get the Birds
Yeah,
at 1.
baby.
I'll be down there early parking lot 9 a.m. And then you just get into the week.
You're right. You're right. I
Don't worry about
appreciate
it.
that. I have a decent disposition right now. I just wanted to regale you with some of the evening. That's all. How are you?
Glacial regalia. No, let's get into this because again, this is a weekend episode. OC's gonna take less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just a fucking train wreck. Let's just get into a little. What do you want to start with? A little Rose and Thorn.
Let's
You
do
want to
a little-
start with?
little Rose and Thorn. Let's
'Cause I know
go.
we've got a good Thorn to start us off. And
Yeah,
kind
let's-
of like a communal thing.
It's a communal thing. I want to actually just save that because that'll probably be our like.
Then start off with your
I'll
Rose.
do a rose, and this is just a quick one, and it's funny because it counters what we're going to talk about after. And I would argue what we're going to talk about after is actually a rose for me. But first rose from Jilly in Indy. 5 stars is what it's titled, and she gave us 5 stars. Counteracting the political 1-star review, these guys are great. And that leads me into our communal rose or thorn. It depends on how you want to look at this, our audience. I view it as a rose because this was gold. So this is from, and I have to read the name because I don't get it. And when you leave reviews, you type in the name that you want it to be.
Yeah.
So this person chose this to go along with their review. I want the lying game now. Lying, not lying, lion. I want the lying game now. And it's a 1-star and says, stop being political, guys. And it goes, or you will lose followers. Mention very slanted things about Bobbert, but 0 about your effed up, mean, racist, gross Fetterman. Stay away from politics. Nothing good will come from it. So,
Speaking from experience, it seems.
Look, for those of you that live under a rock, Lauren Bobbert, is it Lauren? Lorraine? Who gives a shit? She's a Republican, and she was jerking off a man over his pants in a regional performance of Beetlejuice, okay, while he was grabbing her by the boob and she was ripping fat clouds on her vape pen. Now, we do not take stances politically on this show as we do not want to talk about it, and we don't want to hear about it in the comments. However, if you can't objectively look at that situation left, right, up, down, and say that's ridiculous, what a crazy story, and not see the humor in it, especially considering that her platform is going against drag queens reading books to children. That's her big platform because it says it over-sexualizes children, which is insane. But if you have that platform, and then in turn are giving a man an over-the-pants handy, a good old-fashioned OTPHJ, in a regional performance of Beetlejuice, and you can't laugh at that, then there's something wrong with you.
I don't even need to talk about Bobbert again. I want to talk specifically about this comment because there's so many weird things about it.
I was just
One,
laying the scene.
You want us to not be political. We were not political.
No.
I actually, to be fair, to kind of show where I am, I didn't know if she was Republican or Democratic.
She's
I do
Republican.
not care.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. They're all the same fucking people.
Thank
Who
you.
gives a shit? Secondly, you tell us to not go into politics and then say, or you tell us to steer clear of politics altogether, but then give us a recommendation on what we should talk about? So
Right.
do you want us to go further into politics or stay out? I don't know. I
a
don't know
lane.
where you want us. Yeah, pick a lane, buddy. Thirdly, we were brainstorming porn movie names for this situation. What about that is political? I have no fucking idea. Everybody, it's just, look, maybe I'm too online as it is because I see all these things all the time and like Twitter's like that.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice works. Beetlejuice works perfectly. It's just so fucking funny. And the fact that, like, I think we even saw it coming after we recorded that episode. We said, do you really think anybody's going to have a problem with that? There's always somebody, if as soon as you even allude to anything political, somebody's going to have a problem with it. which is why we tend to stay away from those
Yeah.
things because we don't care. It
No.
doesn't fucking matter. It has nothing to do with Bravo. This isn't like a lifestyle podcast. This is just a couple of bros talking about Bravo.
Yeah.
And hand jobs.
And hand jobs, OTPHJs.
Yeah.
And my big thing with it is like, I like reading that last line as almost a threat. Nothing good will come of it. What are you going to do?
Take it from experience.
What the
I'm very far in the trenches, as you can tell, because I'm now commenting on this.
Yeah. I stormed the Capitol and I got arrested. But that's I think that's it
I think
for
that's for
the week.
good.
Yeah.
I got 2 roses actually.
Oh, nice. Let's see yours.
So this one is from Jenn Janagogo.
Oh, I like that name.
Yeah. Title is Now We Got Bad Blood episode. 'Cause we're
Oh,
talking about
yeah.
Taylor Swift. But the comment has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. Been listening to you guys for a while now, but you literally just had me about to run up over a curb because I was laughing so hard at this episode. Your Southern Charm recap was absolutely spot on, and the one comment that had me in stitches was about when they were golfing and your assessment of JT. Absolutely hilarious and completely agree. What rock did this guy crawl out from under? Was that... Oh, nope. Completely read that one wrong. Well, either way, appreciate it, Jenn Janagogo.
Yeah, that was funny.
Love that. We did go pretty hard at JT. We're going to go hard at JT. You probably haven't watched Southern Charm yet.
I did. We recapped.
No,
Oh, from this past
from
week.
last
No,
week.
I haven't. I will say
I'm going to leave it up because JT takes another step.
Well, then maybe I'll turn a little bit. You have gone much harder at him than I have. I think he's good for the show. I just think he's a wiener. You have like some vendetta against him, which I like to see because I'm usually the one with an agenda. But it's nice to see the tables turn a little
I just
bit.
think he's a loser.
Yeah. So, but hindsight. So when I see this next episode, maybe it'll change.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll just wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I
in this
will.
next one. And then my second rose, nice and sweet, from Carmen San Diego Zoo.
Oh. ...
Or I'm sorry, the name of the title is All I Want Is ... More steel with an eggplant emoji.
Yeah, I did see that
The
one.
BDE has transferred over to you. I don't know
Nice,
what you did
dude.
to deserve this. This is from last week. Maybe you went on a little bit of a rant and people enjoyed it.
I don't know. People do like the rants. I don't know. But I did see that one. It made me laugh. I didn't want to read it because I thought it was too self-indulgent.
It
so
is.
I
It is. That's
appreciate you
why I
picking
read
it
it.
up. Thanks,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Appreciate you. But the only thing I want to talk about news-wise, then I want to jump right into Salt Lake. But actually, no, let's do OC first so I can get that shit over
I
with.
think that's fair.
The only news is this, and everybody's seen it. And unfortunately, a lot of you listen to it because it's number 2 on the charts. Tom Sandoval, Scumdeval, whatever you want to call him, that rat bastard, started a podcast. Are you going to listen to this podcast?
No.
I'm not either. And
Why would I want to? I know that I'm going to inevitably see clips of it.
yeah,
I'm going to actively avoid, at least like on Twitter and Instagram, to even watch or listen to them. But TikTok's a different animal. I mean, I know it's going to pop up and I'll watch the reactions to it. I'll never organically see his actual page
no.
because I'll never go look for it and I'll never click on it. But I know I'm going to see some of it. I'm going to hate it. I, in a weird way, understand why he's doing it. I think he waited too long to do it. You could do the Bethany thing and just put it out there immediately, and then people
Oh,
will listen
interesting.
and you can get sponsorships.
Well,
Because guess
people are
what?
listening.
Corporations don't give a shit.
They do.
They will sponsor because they know people are listening.
Yep.
Does that relate to revenue? Not really sure, but it could work. So it makes sense for him to do it, 6-8 weeks ago, maybe try to combat that with the Bethany thing. It doesn't make any sense that he's doing it now. We see him crying on the Special Forces show.
Yep.
He's a little bitch, and I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's fun to watch. But this, no. I had to see the promo for it where he walks out and takes his shirt off and the producer says, this is a podcast, Tom. They're not going to be able to see it. Well, they are going to be able to see it because 1, most people film podcasts. 2, we just had to fucking watch it in the intro. So just shut the fuck up. Whoever the producer is, go fuck yourself.
You know who it is? It's his drummer. It's the same dude that wanted us to come to the live show.
The dude who fucking bagpipes him all the time? Yeah. Sure.
Bagpipes him.
Yeah, you ever heard that?
I fucking love that.
Yeah, that dude fucking stinks. That's the guy who reached out to us and told us to stop being so hard on Tom because we didn't know the whole. So fuck that guy. They're both losers. Just go somewhere. I know what you're doing. I understand the premise of it. But the audacity to do it is such a different thing.
So the timing for me makes total sense because Ariana's on Dancing with the Stars right now, so she's getting the limelight again.
True. If I have to see one more Dancing with the Stars commercial, I'm going to lose it.
There's been a lot of them.
We were watching Monday Night Football the other night. It was every fucking
Well, that's because it's on that channel.
Sure, but,
and it's a big deal for the premiere. I think that's probably why. And also, I think you're getting crossover with Bravo because Mo's on it as well.
Yeah.
But
too much.
Yeah.
Not gonna watch.
I'm probably gonna watch.
You like Dancing with the
I
Stars.
like
though,
Dancing with
yeah.
the Stars. I used to watch
That's
it
how
with
you
my
fell in love with
grandmother in
Kenya.
Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not gonna listen to it. I think that the timing makes sense to me because he's just a rat. I think that it's emotionally manipulative for him to have an intro scene in which he's taking his shirt off, and then I do know he gets into some very deep conversations that I don't want to address because they're self-harm related, and I don't wish that on anybody. If that was something he was dealing with, nothing should ever be pushed that far. I firmly believe that people make mistakes, and like that's a whole different animal. But I think that it's weird that if you're going to touch on sensitive emotional topics, but your intro video for the podcast is you making a joke of it and taking your shirt off, that's counterintuitive. You're doing two different things, and I think that's horseshit. And I think that's par for the course for Tom Sandoval. That's what we've seen from him day in and day out. How can I manipulate the situation to make myself come out of this looking better? How can I shit on other people and make money in the process? And fuck that guy.
Yep. That's what he's going for.
Anywho, let's go on to OC so I can really bring my mood down. So the only thing I've gathered from this episode overall, it was another Heather witch hunt in the beginning. We saw it flip throughout the episode, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. I need to ask you, because you sent me a cryptic text, which you like to do because you know it gives me anxiety, and you said, I have an idea for the RHOSC segment. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to do it. So
What is there to say about RHOSC that we haven't already said? Well, I'll tell you. It's like watching a deer get run over on a highway. It's like watching a child walk by and their ice cream drops out of their hand and they start crying. It's just uncomfortable and annoying, and I don't want to see it ever again.
I agree.
That's where I am.
That's your bit?
That wasn't a bit. Did I say bit?
No, you said I have an idea. I'm not going to tell
Oh,
you.
I completely forgot about the idea, actually.
Oh.
I was having a hard time remembering things today.
Oh, okay.
You know how that goes?
Well, this is anticlimactic.
Yeah, I know. You kind of set me up for failure there, but
what do you mean? You set yourself up for failure. You can't tee me up and then miss it.
There was something there. I definitely had something, and I know I'm going to think about it later, and I'm going to text you.
All right,
and you're
well,
gonna be like, all right, that's cool.
If you think about it during, we'll just bring it up at
No
some
chance
point,
I think about it during.
Let's dive right into this so we can get through it. We start out, Shannon's got a weird bruise from the boat, but if you watch the scene of her dropping out of the boat, she doesn't hit her arm. So I was really confused about the bruise. I'm not claiming, I think she just banged it somewhere else and doesn't remember it.
We wake up with bruises all the time after a night out. It's just,
I don't have to do that anymore. But yeah,
you
I
get
guess.
bruises though sometimes. And you're like, what the fuck happened here?
I do. It's usually
you're gonna have a
from
bruise
the
because you
gym.
hit the table on your way down to the chair today.
I did twice. I kicked it. My toe hurts. But
yeah, toe hurts.
Let's keep going. I mean, the whole thing. We're setting up 3 different scenes here, all in which they're talking about Heather Dubrow. We got one scene. It's got Gina, Tamra, and Jenn, and they're Halloween shopping for Gina's freak show party. We've got Heather at her rental with Terry, and we've got Shannon with her creepy chiropractor, and she's with Emily. And the only reason I call him a creepy chiropractor is because there's a weird hug there that I didn't care for. I didn't like the hug that where he's like, "Oh, I take care of you," and like gives her a weird hug. And like, I don't want to hug my chiropractor.
Yeah,
I don't like chiropractors anyway because they scare me. But
like a lot of weird off base medicine. I'm gonna put
you know what I mean.
People in Shannon's life.
Yeah. Even when Emily's
the enema
like,
guy, and then this, and
it's a good point.
Yeah,
the enema guy.
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
But the whole thing is, and I want to start with like Terry and Heather. They're sitting there and recapping the Mexico trip, and she's like, "I got dog fucked for 5 days in Mexico." I've never heard that term before, but then they did
Big fan of it though.
Yeah, it's a good term. It's almost as good as bagpiped, but you get this good edit of each scene of like them going after Heather, and I was like, Jesus, that was a lot, and I knew it was a lot in the moment, but seeing it broken down like that, and the best part was in the corner there was literally a dog like humping something in Mexico, but. It's weird as shit because Gina is at the Halloween store or whatever, and she's talking about how Tamra doesn't lie. But we have seen out of Gina in Montana when she warns Heather about Tamra's behavior. She says, be careful with her because she's a snake. So you're jumping on both sides of the ship here constantly, and Heather has a really good point, and she says it to Tara, she's like, the head cheerleader came back. Gina, Emily, that whole crew, everyone's scared of Tamra. I do believe that. And when she came back on the scene and started being nice to them, seemingly to try to take down both Jenn and Heather, that was her goal this season. She's trying her best to do it. But they're like, oh, we're part of the cool crowd now. We're one of the cool kids. We're with Tamra. Like, everyone likes Tamra now. Everyone's going to like us. So we're going to jump on board this bullshit ship. And it comes up that Tamra admits to everything. Tamra's always honest. Tamra's that, like, all things that we have never seen out of Tamra, they are now all singing her praises. And it's the most confusing shit to me in the world. And Shannon is referencing still that in that hotel room, Heather was talking shit to Emily about Shannon when we've come to terms with that. That never happened. That
We
did not
fully
happen.
came to terms with it, and all I can see now is we're getting an idea. And look, I mean, we finally figured out where these women's allegiances lie.
Kind of.
I think so. Look, I mean, most of them don't. They're just kind of all over the place, and they just aren't anything to each other. They're not friends. They just kind of try to do things for the show, and it's really annoying. When it comes to Gina is just afraid of losing friends at all times.
Yeah.
She rarely speaks poorly about somebody. She will talk behind your back, but in a way that
She does it
she
to
kind of
group
props you
up
up a
with
little.
whoever.
Exactly, yeah. And she just like is always so afraid of turning an edge on somebody else that she just wants to keep her friends around. And it's honestly, once I came to that conclusion, it's kind of sad because it's like, what the fuck happened to you? Like, why are you afraid to lose friends? But again, we keep coming back to the point that they're not friends. None of them are friends.
No.
We see that all the time. They just kind of go do their own thing. Gina's the only one who really wants to be friends with everybody. Tamra doesn't give a fucking shit. Tamra just sits there and tries to recreate that's your opinion thing,
Yeah.
which now, by the way, when she came back and everybody kept yelling that and yelling that and yelling that, you got to look yourself in the mirror and think that you're an idiot, right?
You
Like,
would think, but she doesn't.
That's what she tries to do. She tries to every time scream something and she thinks it's going to be iconic. It's like, no, it's not. You stink. Like, whatever you're doing is wrong. Whatever, every point in your life, maybe not your life, little too far.
Yes.
Little too far. At least this season, every single thing that Tamra has done has been wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
She has not done one thing that I've looked at and been like, you know what? Objectively speaking, Tamra, you are correct. She's not.
No,
She's
she never
always
is.
just trying to spin shit. She's always trying to make things up, paint people in bad lights, and then as soon as it gets flipped on her, she just screams at the top of her lungs.
That's her move.
Shut the fuck up. Like, get with it. If you're gonna give it like this the whole time, be able to take some in, be able to laugh at some things. No, instead she just screams it. It's fucking annoying. I hate Tamra. I hate this show so goddamn much.
Well, let's keep trucking, buddy. The next scene, we get Jenn and Ryan and her family at Jen's house, and they're doing like a Mexico recap, but immediately off the bat, right out of the gate, man, when this guy's on TV, the front that he puts up, the nice guy act, the over the top, like just his cadence and how he talks, the tone of voice, everything about it is snaky to me. I'm like, you're fucking acting right now. I even wrote right here, Ryan is acting. But they go over the Mexico trip and Jenn is grilling him. She's like, look, it seems like Tamra had more info. I need to know what's going on. And this is where Ryan shows you exactly what type of dude he is. And he's emotionally manipulative. He flips it on her. She says, is there something that I need to know? And he says, I slept with her one night. I was a single guy. I was doing what single guys do. I don't know why you always want to act like you want to move forward and then we take a step back and you hit your wagon to Tamra. By doing that, you are putting this back on her as though this is her fault for having questions because of your infidelity. You are making her feel insecure about your relationship to the point that she's questioning things because now she thinks it's her fault. That is a douchey thing to do. It's a fuckboy thing to do. Ryan's a piece of shit, man. Like, it is clear as day to me. And to put this back on her when you are the one that fucked up, it's the Ross and Rachel thing. We were on a break. Dude, if you were on a break for a couple of weeks and immediately you hooked up with somebody else, that means that it was either one, lined up already, or two, you had somebody readily available that you knew you could reach out to and get some strange before you jump back into a relationship. And by putting it back on the woman that you quote unquote love is so rude, emotionally manipulative once again, and you're turning her head into a pretzel so that she feels as though she has to make it up to you. And that's ridiculous. And for Jenn to not be able to see that, for her to like get sucked into this, and it sucks to watch because I know it's not her fault. Like, she's trying to make this work for so many reasons, right? There's pressure on her because her marriage got fucked up because of it. There's children involved now. And she's trying to not look stupid because then everybody's right about this guy, but he's giving you nothing. All he's doing is setting her up so that she feels responsible for his infidelity. And I'm fucking sick of seeing this man on the screen. Stop giving him the goddamn limelight.
Yeah, I kind of bounce between two different ideas when it comes to Jenn. Sometimes I think it's better if she wouldn't be on the show because obviously as soon as she got on the show, she felt like she needed to kind of clear the air on where she is in her
But I
relationship to
like
try to
her.
get ahead of it. I do too, but I don't know if it's good for her psyche, which is
Yeah,
we kind of run into that issue with a lot of girls.
sure.
But with the way that she gets in here, I kind of battle between the two because we could see Jen in a non-housewife role completely off TV just sticking with this guy because no one's out there saying anything wrong about him. Do I think that Tamra is doing it because she's a good friend? No, not fucking
We
like
see that
no
at the
chance. We
end of
know
the
she's
episode. She says, "We're good, Ryan." I was like, "That everything you
yeah,
said this
she doesn't
season's
care.
negated."
She's doing it just for the season. She's doing it just for television. She doesn't care what the ramifications are. She doesn't care if she has any consequences to her actions. She doesn't even think about the consequences. She just doesn't care. But to see Jen kind of sit there like this, like I get it if Jen was doing this all the time, every week, every time that she goes away, every time she goes away, she comes home, she starts talking about the girl that he hooked up with a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. That could get annoying, but I don't get the vibe from Jen that she does that every time.
No,
I think that she's doing it because there's fucking people close to her that know you that are telling her, hey, something else is going on here. You might want to check in with that. If she was not on this show, she would stick in this relationship. I don't know where they are now. I don't it's the whole OC effect. Like, I just don't care where any of them are now. Like, I hear things and I'm like, all right, whatever, I don't care.
right?
But yeah, I mean, she could just kind of stick it out and see what happens. It just sucks that it's coming from Tamra because if it was coming, say, Gina knew something or Emily heard something from her mom who goes to the same gym, and then there's like a little sideway in there, like, okay, I trust that. I think
Right.
that's fine. I think that's legit. Maybe it wouldn't show up on TV. Maybe it would. Who knows? But when it comes from Tamra, I don't care if it's true or not. There's a reason why Tamra's doing it. And it's not
Exactly.
because she's a good friend. And that's the part that sucks.
Yeah, that's well said. But moving right along, we get Gina and Heather finally sit down to clear the air between the two, and Heather's pissed, and rightfully so, because the first thing they discuss is the loser comment. And she's like, "Well, you called us losers." And Heather's like, "No, I didn't. Here you go." And breaks out a 2T's episode and presses play. And the first thing that is said, Teddy's like, "You said something, Tamara." She's like, "Oh God, what did I do now?" Knowing that she fucked something up. And Teddi recaps about how Tamra called the entire OC crew losers. It's literally verbal proof, and it goes to a confessional, and Gina's still like, "Well, then Heather should have told me about that." And I'm sure Tamra didn't say it maliciously. Like, what the fuck do you want from this woman?
Yeah, I don't understand any of that. Like, how are you attacking Heather for saying that or supposedly saying that? You get hard proof that Tamara says it and you immediately flip the script. Why are you not giving Heather the same grace? Why are you not
Exactly.
saying, oh, she could have just been saying it in jest and Tamara's trying to start shit up? That I believe.
100%.
1,000%. Now you're telling me that even though it's right in front of you, Tamara's baby, this fucking podcast that she does with Teddi, this is going to be the truth. This is the only time that I think Tamara is going to talk the truth, and people are going to be able to see, okay, Tamara's just doing this. She's trying to start shit with this person. She's drumming up old history with this person. That's when she's at her most authentic. It's right in front of you. Also, it's not on Heather to point something out on Tamara's podcast that, by the way, anyone can listen to.
I know, right?
Why is that on Heather? Heather maybe just figured that out. Maybe somebody just gave the attention to her and just said, hey, by the way, I know you're talking about this. You might want to listen to Tamara's podcast.
Right.
Because I don't want to listen to Tamara's podcast. I can't
No.
imagine Heather wants to listen to Tamara's podcast. If I was on that show and Tamara had a podcast, I would actively avoid it. I would mute all the words on Twitter. I would block everything on Instagram. I would fully avoid the entire thing because it's absolute garbage.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And we get a list out of Heather where she lays out the moments. Look, we know that Tamara's a liar. We've seen her lie on our own TikTok comments. We've seen her lie on TV multiple times and get caught in the lies. And then, as you so eloquently put, screams her fucking face off to try to get out of it. Heather lists the 3 distinct moments this season in which she got caught in a lie. One, about Heather's IMDb page where she said that she hasn't worked since the 1900s and then claimed that she didn't say that. 2, about talking about Shannon's relationship. We watched her do it time and time again. When she's called out, she says, "I didn't do that. Heather did that." 3, the loser comment. And Heather points out, if you look at it from like a logistical standpoint, she has gone to each woman in this group and actively tried to trash my friendship with them to get them on her team. And now Gina immediately flips back to Heather's team and says, you got to do something about this. You got to say something to her. It's like, Gina, stop it.
It's just because she wants Heather to go to her party.
I know. And I think this is further proof to me that they're not actually friends in real life. Because if you were actually friends in real life with any of the women on this show, right, you would have disagreements, there'd be discrepancies, things like that, and you would trust the person and move on. But because none of these people are actually friends, they're vying for who is correct in this season. Who is going to be the winner of this season? I'm trying to get on the right team because we're winding down. So who am I going to pick? And she goes, oh, fuck. Heather's got hard evidence. I need to get on her team now so I can come out a winner for this trash garbage season of this garbage franchise. And I just wrote here, Gina, grow a fucking spine. One way or the other. Pick a lane or don't pick either team. Be your own person. But stop jumping from ship to ship because it's a terrible, terrible look. Speaking of full of shit, the next scene, we get to see the worst named colonic ever, the Sidolonic.
Oh, God.
Sidolonic.
I did not know that we were going to have
I wasn't ready for it.
8 to 12 minutes of
A poop.
enema and colonic talk.
And-
Like, just no.
Look, let me say this immediately before we get comments about this. This could be a scene about men having a colonic, and it would still be unwarranted. We don't want to watch anybody talk about
No.
sticking a tube up their butt and water
We
and
had
poop
enough
coming
of it.
out.
We already had an episode about this.
I know
Why are
we
we
did.
doing it again?
I don't know, but just all I'm going to say about it is come up with a better name and a better system because you shouldn't need a helper for something that is that. What's the word? What do you?
Invasive? I
Well,
don't know.
you're at your most vulnerable in that
Yeah.
moment. You're sticking something in your butt and flushing water in and out of it. Like, man,
It
woman,
feels good.
doesn't matter. I probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes out, sure.
Not when it goes in.
But can we not do this? Like, I just don't want to talk about it. But we get to the circus party or the freak show party. I will give Gina credit here. The party looked dope.
Yeah, it was a cool party.
I would have gone to that party. But of course,
Would you have
Ryan.
worn a shirt?
I literally was about to say that.
Yeah, I know.
And I would have. I'm not that guy. I'm
Okay.
not that guy, pal. I don't like going.
If you were in I feel like if you lived in LA for like 10 years, you might turn into that guy though.
That's really fucking mean to say
I
that.
know, but you think
There was a
there's
moment.
chance.
There was a moment at the wedding last night in which a dude who was in great shape continuously took his shirt off, and I was like, you know what? I know what he's doing. He thinks that he's like coming off as like the cool fun guy takes his shirt off, but all he's trying to do is show everybody like, hey, I've got abs, and it comes off really douchey. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy, pal. Okay.
Okay.
So
Right.
I don't appreciate the candor.
California Steel might be.
Cali still, bruh. But I just wrote Ryan shows up shirtless, douche. Like, you know what you're doing, and it's not. And he goes, "Oh, you should have expected it. Ha ha ha! I'm Ryan, and this is the kind of stuff I do." Red flag after red flag after red flag. But Gina's talking to Emily, and she feels like she's caught up between Emily and Heather's nonsense. And Emily immediately brings up the loser comment. I don't know why the word loser, of all the things that is said on these shows to people, is the most triggering thing in the world.
It's
By
pretty
the
mean.
way,
Calling people losers is pretty. I do it all the time. It's great.
they're all losers.
I know.
Everybody on
But we
this
mean
show
it
is
in
a
a very
loser.
mean way.
I do because,
I
like,
know.
fuck, man, we have to sit here and watch it for.
I would rather be called like an asshole, a dickhead, than a loser.
You are a loser.
1000%. Whoa.
Sorry, I didn't mean that.
That's
I'm
the Cali Steel comment.
Callie Steele, bro, you loser. But she brings up the two T's thing again, and immediately Emily takes the same approach as Gina. Well, she's been saying shit for years. That's not what your platform is, Emily. Your platform is that you're upset about her calling you a loser specifically. So you can't then jump ship to this other thing where, well, she's always talked shit. Then that should have been your qualm from the get-go. It shouldn't be she called us losers, now I'm pissed. It should be she always talks shit, I'm mad. But immediately she does the Gina thing, and it's really fucking annoying, and it drives me nuts because once again, there's proof. We have proof, and
There's proof, but like you don't even need proof. I think that's the most infuriating thing of watching this show is we can see what Tamra's doing, and we know when she's lying. According to Gina, she tells the truth all the time, but she doesn't. We know when she's lying. We know when she's spinning some bullshit into her favor. How does no one else see this?
I don't know.
Like Heather
man.
just started seeing it because she's the one who's been attacked over
She's
and
been on the
over and over
receiving
again.
end of it.
But she was on the receiving end of it for a little while, still didn't say anything, and then finally hit her breaking point. How does no one else in this group see it? I don't care. I know that you're not friends, but like you hang out enough during filming and you see Tamra enough and you hear enough about her. How do you not know what she's doing? Like,
I don't know.
I'm inclined to call you idiots too. Like, you're loser idiots.
For being mean.
I know, but the
But-
show sucks and they all suck for it.
Well,
The reason the show sucks is because of all these women.
Well, the funny thing is, I have turned into a Heather fan after all of this. Like we
have
said
I.
the other week, like if she went to or Beverly Hills, like I'd be cool with it. now.
I'd be entirely fine with that.
Yeah, I think she'd be a good addition there. And like, look, does she like think she's a little better than other people at times? Like, yeah, I do believe that. I'm not gonna like let her off scot-free here at all. but she's at the receiving end of all this bullshit. And like what she's doing is no different than what most housewives do on most of the franchises.
Yeah,
It's
most
just,
housewives feel like they're better than everybody else. That's the
yes,
whole point of fucking housewives.
that's why we watch this
Yeah.
show. So for these people to vilify her because she has more money than them is so obvious that they're just fucking severely insecure.
Foreshadowing for RHOSLC.
Oh, it is. But case in point, when she walks in and she dressed up for the occasion, she's wearing a bodysuit as an acrobat, which makes sense. It's a freak show, aka a circus. So her outfit is fitting for the event.
Last time I checked, dolphin trainers wore all black.
Yes.
So
This is
where are
not the
they
same
all
thing.
getting the dolphin trainer?
Because she wore, that was from a previous episode in which she wore.
in Mexico, but like, no, now I'm actually crossing up two different shows. I think Jenna wore something like that in Mexico, but Anguilla.
Anguilla.
Nope. I just, they were taking every opportunity to strike at her.
Well,
and
Taylor says immediately she's just showing off her body. She should.
what is Ryan doing?
Ryan walks in shirtless. He gets no shit. Heather, who works out and works hard and wants to show off, like, good for you. You look great. She walks in. She looks
She didn't
fantastic.
have a bikini on.
No, she's wearing a fucking bodysuit and she looks good and you're just jealous. Leave her alone. It's so fucking insecure and annoying. And Emily jumps on that train too. Like, what is she wearing? What the fuck are all of you wearing? It's a freak
costume
show.
party.
God damn it. Like, what are we doing? But Heather pulls Jen aside, and Jen was a little upset because they were supposed to have a conversation in Mexico. I guess Heather dipped from the room, fell asleep in her bed. Whatever. Jen and Heather come to the mutual agreement like, hey, we really haven't gotten to know each other outside of Tamra, and that's probably a mistake considering Tamra spun the narrative immediately about you and Ryan. I'm sure she said things about me as well. Why don't we clean the slate and just start from scratch? I want to get to know you. Let's do this. Let's have a real friendship. And that immediately, I'm like, I know what Heather's doing. Heather's playing the game now. Heather's getting everybody on her team because Heather has something that Tamra never, ever has and never will. Heather has proof and she has evidence to fall back on. Tamra makes bold, outrageous claims, gets caught in lies, starts screaming her head off to try to get out of it, looks like an idiot, and then points the finger elsewhere, and then plays the woe is me, I love you, I'm so sorry card. And that has been her MO since we've seen her on this season. That's been her MO in previous seasons. And then she goes on her podcast, shows you her true colors, starts venting about nonsense, says all this shit, can't back it up because she's a fucking loser.
Has Tamra come out and said anything about Shannon? Not that I've seen. Anything at all in support?
Oh, in support?
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything. I think she talked. No, she did on her podcast. They talked about it. I think that she was upset. I think she actually voiced that.
I was just curious about that.
I don't
because
want
that
to
would be
fault her.
like,
Yeah, I don't want to throw stones where they are not deserved.
that's fair. That should be your takeaway from us.
That's the difference.
What we watch on the show, we absolutely hate. What we hear on the podcast, we absolutely hate. But we're not going to make shit up.
No, we won't make it
I
up.
was just curious.
Yeah, credit where credit's due. If you listen to that garbage podcast, she did have sympathy for Shannon when she was going
Somebody
through what she went
tweeted
through.
us and 2Ts last week and said, "Where are the new episodes, guys?" And
Don't
like,
lump us in with them.
don't put us in the same.
Don't put us
tweet.
in with them.
Separate tweets.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But let's finish this bad boy up. Heather makes up with everybody in the group. And while she's doing this, you see Tamra just on the outskirts like, oh my God, look at her, look at her. And I know exactly what she's doing. She is panicking. She's like, shit, she figured me out. She knows, and she's going to get all these women against me. I've worked my ass off to spin them against Heather, and I figured it out. Tamra came into this season and recognized Heather was the HBIC.
Yep.
And she wanted to dethrone the queen. So she went on this vendetta with all this bullshit evidence to try to throw it against her and turn the whole group against her. And it was actually somewhat cinematic in which we're in the finale and now Heather, cool, calm, collected the whole time, takes Tamra down, takes her to task. And when Tamra tries to address it and tries to confront her about it, Heather doesn't have time for it. Walks away, makes Tamra look like a fucking moron, and she is one, and just drops the mic, says, I don't have time for your shit. And by the way, everybody now knows who you actually are because you are an idiot and can't cover your tracks. I've got you. Fuck off now.
And
Ooh.
scene.
And scene. And I'm not going to do the recap of where everybody is now.
No,
All
I
I'm going
don't.
to say is, once again, the episode ends with the last remaining ally. She's talking to Jen, and I don't think Jen's her ally. That scumbag Ryan is standing next to her. And she says to Ryan, who she has eviscerated all season on what a dirtbag this guy is. And she says, no, Ryan, we're cool. And that sentence is who Tamra Judge is. to a T.
Nice.
Thank you. Fuck this
Two,
show.
spelled TWO.
But that takes us to RHOSLC, and I texted you while I was watching this, and I said 3 words. RHOSLC is back. And with this episode, we've had a stretch of good ones, and we're gonna have some clunkers. We always do in a season, but I can confidently say that this is a much better season than we had last year. It's kind of again a return to form for Salt Lake. I love what Monica's bringing to the table. I think she's phenomenal for the show. Mary needs to pick it up. She is a dud right now, which is a shame to say because do you have a different
Look at
take?
it that way, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, let's jump right in. We'll talk about it. But we start out with the morning after, and I need to point this out because she's done it all season. She's done this every chance she's had. Meredith Marks is eating breakfast, and what is she having for breakfast? That was a question.
It's me.
Yeah, as you're blowing fat clouds.
Yeah, don't mind me. I'm not no OTPH days over here.
Just fat clouds.
Yeah, just fat ass clouds. I don't remember what was she eating for breakfast.
Caviar.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
But did you see the brand?
No.
Meredith Marks Caviar.
I remember her showing. Yeah, now that I recall, actually.
That was
What happens. I watched this show like 4 days ago.
I had to pause it to make sure it said that, but she has done subtle plugs for all of her products throughout the season. And she uses Seth, robot Seth. He goes, "What are you putting in your mouth?" And I was like, "Gross."
Yeah.
And she's
such
like,
a weird way to say
"Caviar for
that.
breakfast,
Yeah,
Seth."
but look, I mean, if she wants to make a little bit of extra money off of this so that she can send it away for, unnamed children that are suffering around the world.
Yeah, I need to
go
know
ahead and
more
do that.
about that child, but I will give it up to Heather. I love a good boot and rally, and she's booting and rallying with the best of them. We got confirmation she did in fact pee.
Yep.
No shame. Shit happens. She's also had kids. We had a lot of women reach out to us in the comments and say, "Hey guys, when you've had multiple kids, you don't have a lot of control in those situations. No judgment here whatsoever."
It's crazy to learn. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
It's a good lesson for everybody out there that
Wow.
doesn't know. So, be sympathetic to people that pee their pants. It happens to the best of us.
Especially when they're vomiting up espresso martinis.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
We go to Angie making her own shirt, and immediately I'm like, this is a bad idea. You don't need to be doing this at all. Whatever you're making, whatever you're drawing on that shirt, it's not going to hit. It's not going to land right. You're going to look like a moron. And she does. The shirt that she makes, like all of the other ones are wearing all trust, no tricks in reference to the Trixie Motel. She makes a shirt that says all tricks, no trust, which is not a funny joke. It's not a good pun.
Angie trying to be iconic.
Once again, Angie, you're on her trip.
Just trying too hard.
You're trying.
You know what
way
a
too
good
hard.
idea would have been? Hey, I got this white t-shirt and I've got a couple of markers if you guys want to draw on it later.
That or hey,
Make it a group activity.
I made my own shirt, all trust, no tricks, because I didn't get one.
Or that. Yeah, that would be fun.
There's
too.
so
Yep.
many other. Or don't make a fucking shirt.
Well, you got to do something
No, you
because if
don't.
everybody else is going to be wearing white shirts, you're going to be the one without the shirt.
Just wear a sweatshirt.
No, I agree with part of it. I don't agree with what she did, what she wrote on it. I agree with having a white t-shirt
Yeah,
on.
whatever. You're a loser.
You just want her to stick out like a sore thumb. Look,
She
I
does it
don't
on her
like her
own.
either. I don't like her either. But in that situation, if I was Angie, I would also have a white t-shirt. I just wouldn't have gone as far as to throw the shade.
All tricks, no trust. But we get Whitney and Lisa, and it's the conversation about Meredith from the Sprinter van the night before. And Whitney's saying that, Meredith is manipulative, and when she gets caught up and then caught in a lie, or she doesn't want to respond to anything, she goes with the "I have too much going on right now" and brings up other shit in her life. And it's always vague. It's never specific. It's just that there's something happening in her life and she can't deal with this shit right now. And actually, while I thought the way Whitney brought it up was ridiculous on the bus because she had no dog in that fight, there are patterns to Meredith. And
Yeah.
we've seen patterns to Meredith. Lisa Barlow pointed it out last episode. She does certain things time and time again. When you see patterns in a person, that's them showing you who they are. And I firmly believe that.
But I think that's the difference is you see Lisa Barlow do that in a confessional. She's not in a position right now where she's going to say that to Meredith because they are mending their friendship or
Right.
whatever might be happening
But
there.
she highlights that too. She says she's trying, but she sees what Whitney's saying.
Yes, she understands the pattern, and we all understand the pattern. I'm okay with Whitney we know is clumsy with her words anyway, so she's never going to bring anything up that sounds super organic and makes a lot of sense.
Right.
I'm okay with her bringing it up in principle, though.
No, I am
Somebody
too.
needs to call attention to it. I actually, later in the episode, since like it's the same topic, what she said later in the episode at the bar, where she said, yeah, why? Because there's a kid somewhere that wakes up every day and has a headache. I would have said that exact same thing.
Yeah, I know
If
you
somebody kept doing that and talking about some elusive child somewhere and that's the reason why I'm upset, I would have done the exact same thing and said it almost verbatim.
I know you would have. I actually heard like a hint of Shooter in there. I was like, oh, Shooter, are you a housewife now? But we get Monica talking to Meredith, and it's about Angie. And as we know, Monica was friends with Angie before the show. Like they were supposed to be, I think Angie expected them to be allies throughout this whole thing. But to Monica's credit, when she sees bullshit, she just calls it out. She's not
Yep.
getting swayed one way or the other. And Monica calls Angie tacky and embarrassing, which I love. I love the dig tacky. I think it hits a lot harder than people.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, it always
Calling somebody a
lands.
loser.
Yeah, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
We're saying a lot of good insults
Yeah.
tonight. Take notes, everybody. But Monica just says she's in a weird spot because, like, while she is Angie's friend, she has seen a side of Angie on this trip that she never has seen in the past. And I mean, we saw this Angie all last year. This is no
Could
surprise
just
to
be
me.
TV Angie, honestly.
That probably is, honestly.
Or she's just, getting a little too big for her britches.
It could be either of those things. But they head to a trust exercise, and that's when Angie unveils her shirt. And I think she expected it to hit a lot harder. Nobody in the group even really acknowledges it. She's like, she walks down, she says, all Trix, no trust. And the whole group's like, sick, bro. Anyway, what were we talking about? This scene from her confessional, I think, paints the perfect picture of who Angie thinks she is and what she's bringing to the table. Because in her confessional, she says it was either that or call in a hit on her entire family. It was either make a stupid t-shirt or murder Meredith and her whole family.
I just don't understand when she speaks. Honestly, just the way that she talks ever. I never really understand it. But how are you going to do that? Did she think that was going to be funny?
I don't know.
Is she trying, she's trying to, and I think Monica painted it perfectly last week where she said, you're like 4'3", like 70 pounds. You're not going to fight anybody. Stop being tough.
But she can
It seems like that's what Angie does. She gets backed into a corner. She feels like she had her friends come onto the show and Monica immediately turns on her because of what Angie did and what Angie said. Rightfully so. That's entirely fine. Now she's all alone. She has nobody to support her. Jen Shah's in prison. Nobody's going to help you. And she spins this out. I don't really understand any of that.
It was bizarre. I couldn't believe she said it. Like, again, t-shirt, murder your family.
Yep.
What the fuck? I think that you hit the nail on the head. She tries at every single avenue to be iconic. Everything is trying to do the most, and it doesn't land ever.
I
It's
think we need like
embarrassing.
new housewives to have never seen Housewives before. I think that's probably our best way to go about
I
this.
think
moving
it's
forward.
impossible.
It's got to be impossible, of course, but you can tell the ones who have seen too many housewife shows
Oh,
or
it's a good
seen too
point.
many
Yeah, yeah,
reality shows, and it's like I've got some lines out here that I'm like really prepared to roll in, especially for confessionals. They're always trying to do as much as they can, and I think that Angie's one of them. And honestly, for the most part, they don't work. You're not that quick. You don't really have a lot of wit. You're not, whatever you're saying isn't going to land. It's not funny because you're not funny. Like if
Boom.
you're not funny as it is, and not once have I ever laughed at something that Angie did
No,
or
me
said.
neither.
Like if you're not funny and you're not, and that's okay. If you're not funny, that's fine. Meredith is also not funny. If you're not funny, just own the fact that you're not funny and just move forward. Don't try to be funny.
No, be you. Whoever that is.
I don't even know who it is.
I really don't.
I want to see the I want to see the you that Monica's talking about
Let's-
because that might be a nice you. Maybe we
that-
like that you.
Who knows? At this point, I doubt it, but at least it's different than what you're bringing to the table right
Yeah.
now. But we got trust exercises with Cliff, and I really want to know how Cliff got into this line of work because I have to imagine it's a strenuous one. But I loved Heather's line where she's like, "You've never dealt with this level because we have ruined careers, marriages. We sent somebody to prison. Like you got your work cut out for you, Cliff."
Yep.
And Mary doesn't have time for it because she's not ready to trust this group.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't have any. You want her to step up, and I have no issues with her doing that at all.
So here's the thing. I don't mind Mary at all. I love Mary. You know that. Mary Cosby is Mary Cosby, and I think that she is an enigma in the best way. Like she just brings this weird element that I love. And the fact that she's a cult leader, allegedly, maybe, if you're part of that church, we're not actually calling it a cult. But my thing with it is like I need her on the screen a little bit more just to bring more of the weirdness to it. I'm okay with the fact that she doesn't want to take part in the exercise.
Right.
Let's have her sit on the side and watch it and commentate. Like that would be better for me than just sitting on the bus and bringing nothing to it. That's it. I'm not saying she needs to partake. I'm saying I want more commentary.
I'm okay with it, like, on this trip because at least for the trust fall thing, she had a funny reason. I'm not there with you guys. I don't trust any of you. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
And then you get like a little commentary about her getting a little oat milk latte, whatever she's doing. Later, you get the McDonald's thing. I don't care, and this is kind of what we talked about with Mary as it is. I don't need her to be a full-time housewife. I don't need to go further into her life because I feel like it's scary and I don't really want to be part of that. Don't really want to find out what the hell's going on over there. But if she can deliver 1 or 2 funny ass lines per episode, I'm good with that.
You know
That's
what?
enough for me.
I was curious when that scene happened because she left, I would imagine when she left the show, I don't know if she was not asked back. And I would like to know the difference to that
Yeah.
because if she chose to not come back, I wonder if part of her contract when she did come back was like, if I don't want to do something, I won't. And you guys need me back because last season was so terrible.
Right.
So, like, one of my stipulations is like, if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it. I wonder if that was part of it, but
And I don't think the Bravo producers for Salt Lake were in a position to say no. They needed her back
correct.
for a different approach and to try to like throw in a little bit of comedy in there because you're going to get that with Mary.
Yeah. So I wonder if that has anything to do with it. But when they get back on the Sprinter van after the exercises, Meredith is upset with Mary because she didn't partake and nothing big happens, but it's just funny because every time Lisa tries to chime in, Mary's like, I'm not talking to you. Do you have a mute button? Like knock it off. Like, that's the Mary I want to see.
Yes.
But she has to be around them to have those. That's all I'm saying. But they get to lunch back at the hotel, and Whitney does, like, I don't know what goes on in her head because she says that Meredith is boring and that she's going to take over the trip because she's not having fun and she's going to liven things up. But later, when Meredith doesn't really take part in her drag makeup thing, she's like, I really thought that you would step up to the plate, like, and have some fun with us. It's like, well,
You just said that she was boring. Why did you think she was going to have fun?
one,
Had
and
the same
two,
thought.
if anybody's not going to partake in your activity, it's the person that planned the trip who you took over for
Mhm.
unasked.
Yep.
Like, that was the only person that if Meredith was like, fuck this, I would have been like, yeah, I get it. Like, it's your trip and she's 100% trying to steal the spotlight. That makes sense.
I
to me.
agree. The funny thing is, I think I agree with everything. I agree with the fact that it was a boring trip. I think that Meredith is pretty boring, and that's okay. You can be boring.
We said that last year when she was the quote unquote fun
Oh yeah, the
director.
fucking
Director of fun.
Director of fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus, God, I forgot about that.
Ah.
Oh boy, yeah, no, she's not a director of fun. She is very boring, and that's okay. If you're boring, you can be boring in your own way, and you bring a different element to the show. I'm fine with that. The trip was boring.
It was.
Yeah, a trust fall activity. Come on, you're not fucking 10. Shut up. Doing all of this, like I don't even know what she had lined up for the rest of the night. Like
She
let's go
said,
out
I
to
don't
dinner.
know.
She didn't even know. So you have nothing planned out. I'm okay with Whitney stepping in. Do I really agree with how she did it? No. Do I think that Whitney could have gone in and talked to Meredith? Probably not. Meredith would have shut her down
She would
immediately.
have shut her down, but
So she commandeered it. I don't agree with what Whitney did. It was still ended up being a pretty fun activity.
I thought it was hilarious.
And I think that it's good, especially being at the Trixie Motel too. Like you're paying homage to the person who runs the hotel.
Absolutely.
You're coming down, you're actually friends with Trixie. You're gonna go do this. That makes a lot of sense to me. But you can't have an issue with Meredith not stepping up. You completely commandeered the trip. You called her boring, and then she comes out and she's not participating, and you're gonna call her boring again? I
Yeah,
don't,
that's not okay.
It doesn't hurt. Like that's the same thing.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But look, we are known Lisa Barlow supporters for the most part. I got to say, she's losing me this season. And she's losing me this season because we bring up the fact that, we're going to have a drag glam competition. Everyone take off your faces, go in there, and we're going to do our own makeup. We're going to try to make whoever wins this competition. We're having a drag makeup competition. Lisa throws an absolute tantrum. She's like, I care so much about like looking a certain way and I fly glam in and I always have glam. And for whatever reason, her magic number is 60,000. I spend 60,000 a year on glam. I have glam in Monaco and San Tropez. Like name drop, money drop, name drop. When she's talking about her clothing, she names every label that she's wearing. It's like, dude, money talks, wealth whispers. Like if you actually are that
Nice.
person, I know. then settle down. Like, stop it. We know that you're loaded. It's great. Good for you. We know that you work hard to get it. No shame in the game there. Like, do your thing. Keep making that paper. I have no problem with who she is as far as like, yeah, you have a ton of money and you worked your ass off to get it. Props to you. You don't need to throw it in everybody's face constantly to the point that you're throwing an absolute temper tantrum, crying and sobbing and asking the producer to relate to you in this moment.
Yeah.
That just shows you how tone deaf she is and how she is not able to look at the common man and understand, like, hey, don't say this shit around regular people because it's ridiculous. She asks the producer of the show, who there's no way that producer has nearly the amount of money that she does, to relate to her in that moment. You were asked to take off your makeup, do a fun activity in homage to one of the biggest drag queens in the game. You're staying at her hotel. This is a good idea. It makes total sense. Suck it up, do it, take the makeup off, tell the girls, hey, I'm going to be late for dinner because I want to get my makeup done the right way. Take the makeup off after it, put your makeup on, go to dinner. Or, hey, I'm going to catch up with you guys later because I really don't want to go out in public. There's so many other ways to go about it instead of being like, poor me. You guys don't understand how hard it is. I need to have my look or else it's not going to work.
Yeah, it seemed like a little out of character. I mean, the bragging about the money thing is never out of character for Lisa, but it seemed out of character that she didn't want to partake in something that seemed fun, that everybody else was into. Obviously, sans Meredith, but everybody else was into it. Everybody really wanted to do it.
Mary,
Mary,
Meredith, and there was a third one. There's three that didn't do it. Mary
Lisa.
didn't do it. Lisa and Meredith. Yeah.
Yeah.
Three.
But like, we don't expect Mary to do it because Mary's going to say it's against her religion or something anyway. So that makes a lot of sense. Whatever, go ahead and do whatever the hell you want, Mary. You want to go to McDonald's? Go ahead and do that. Everybody else that you're close with seems like they want to get into it. Same thing as you said. If I feel like if she just picked a lane and said, well, that kind of sucks because I've got my fucking glam team coming down there and I gave them money to go do that plus the flights to come down. Have your glam team come in. Just walk in and be like, hey, I can't cancel my glam at this point. They're already coming in. Do you mind if they do my drag makeup? Then you don't have to complain. If you're really not good at doing your own makeup and you care about the way that you look and you want someone else to do it, then allow them to get a little creative and have some fun.
Sure.
Go do the thing, go back, get it all off, and then put normal makeup on. That seems fine. There's no issue there. The fact that she broke down and started crying, and I know that, like we said this about Meredith last week, maybe there's something more to this
No,
where
there's not.
there's
I
like
don't think there is.
you don't think that there's like some sort of,
I think it's
I don't want to call it like maybe like an appearance type
I
of like
think there's an
insecurity, or
insecurity. Yes.
there's
I do
definitely an
think there's
insecurity in there.
insecurity.
And I'm not going to like jump all over her because as soon as you start breaking down about something that we find kind of dumb and minuscule, maybe there is something more going on there. I just thought
Okay.
it was weird and out of character that she didn't want to join in on something fun. This seems like something that if you told me they were going to do, I'd say, oh, Lisa Barlow's probably going to have a lot of fun with that.
You would
And
think.
she didn't.
No,
So
she didn't at
that's
all.
my bigger issue is that this season we liked Lisa a lot last year. We feel like she grew a lot. Even the beginning of this season with her talking to Meredith, it seems like she grew a lot. Now she's taking steps back for reasons that I didn't really see.
That's a good way to put it.
And it's like she's better right the ship because she's going to lose fans pretty quickly
I
because
think so too.
she was really good for a while, and now if she's going to take this stance for some reason, and she's maybe Monica's got her all like buttoned up or something. I don't know what's going on.
Interesting. That's
Something weird going on there.
That's an interesting way to put it. But they have the glam off. I'm glad that, Monica leaned into it. Heather leaned into it. Heather is doing a good job this season, dude. She's staying in the background for the most part. She's chiming in when necessary.
Yep.
She's not trying to take center stage. She's partaking in everything. That's my point as well. Lisa, if Heather can buck up and do this after the night she had the night before, you can get in there and do this too.
Yes.
Like, she literally vomited on a van. She's probably so hungover she can't see straight, and she took the time to wear a 40-pound wig, put makeup on, and jump in on this thing. And again, Trixie's sitting out there judging this thing. So it's more embarrassing for the people that don't do it. It's like that asshole at the Halloween party that chooses not to wear a costume because he's too cool to do it.
Yep.
Like, that kind of shit drives me nuts. But Monica wins, and rightfully so. She looks great, and I like.
She was in character too. Like she
She
went
was in
full Jersey.
character, and like, look, Trixie was awesome. Like, Trixie's line about being on your deathbed, and when you look back on your life, are you ever gonna say, "I wish I didn't do as much"? I was
Yeah.
like, that's fucking dope. Like, I love that outlook, and I wish that these women that didn't participate had leaned into that more because it's a great way to look at this whole thing.
I honestly, really, the only person I fault for not doing it is Lisa. I understand Meredith is taking a stance
We
against
know
Whitney,
Mary's
fine,
not
whatever.
going to.
Mary, we know full on. We know Mary's not going to participate in this. Lisa not doing it is just the only outlier. That doesn't make sense. So she's the only one that I have an issue not doing it.
I agree. And then when they get on the van, there was a comment about being a wet noodle from Monica at the Trixie Trixie Motel. And when they're on the van, Lisa brings, what's this wet noodle conversation that you guys were having? And Monica goes in and she's like, look, I was surprised you didn't dress up. And I'm surprised you didn't participate. And that's when Lisa label dropped. She's like, I did participate. These shoes are whatever. And this outfit is fully couture. And I'm wearing this and that. It's like, this is the woman that already told you that she doesn't like when you talk about money and materialistic things because of what she's going through. And Lisa says, this is drag for me. It's like, don't do that. Don't do that.
How is that drag, though?
And Meredith leans into it too, where she's like, everybody's different. It's like, this was a very specific activity. Very specific. There's no outliers. There's no other way to look at it. You know what drag is. You're staying at the motel of one of the most prominent drag queens in the world. So you understand the assignment. There's no other way to spin it. So don't act like you knew better or this isn't how you took it because you clearly didn't want to do it. So just own that at the very least. But Monica just starts opening up about how tone deaf Lisa is and how it affects her. And she checks her and she's like, nobody lives like you. Most of us do not. She calls her the 1%.
Mm-hmm.
You are the 1%, which I guarantee that actually made Lisa feel good hearing that. She's probably like, yeah, I am the 1%. But Lisa's like, I'm not going to apologize. Like, I work my ass off and this and that. Nobody has questioned your work ethic.
Nobody
your
wants you to
business.
apologize for where you are in life.
Correct.
That's, I feel like, the thing that just falls on deaf ears all the time. And it's
Mhm.
not just Lisa, it's a lot of people like that.
Sure.
And this is the weird stance to take when you're going to say things like, I'm not going to apologize for who I am. We don't want that. We want you to apologize for maybe just bragging about all the brands that you have. If you are that rich, you don't have to talk about your brands. Most people who are that rich don't actually wear labels.
No.
They have really nice clothing that they get from really good designers that are very expensive and they don't have labels on them. You can go over and say, really like that sweater. Who makes it? Well, I got it from Milan and I did this and that and whatever.
Boom.
You're not going to sit there and be like, well, this is from here and this is from here and this is from here. And then in the same breath say, I am very in touch with the middle class. No, you're not.
She says that everyone has $60,000 rings.
Of course
Are
they
you
do.
shitting me?
And she laughed at it. That was, I think, the worst part.
was
She
really bad,
scoffed
yeah,
at it
she
and
did.
said, yeah, the middle class has $60,000 rings. No, they don't.
No.
No,
Hey.
they do not.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
Like-
we don't. Also, the middle class is almost gone. So there's a couple of us left.
They're
Leave
rooting
us
us
alone.
out. Quit talking about us because they're going to take us out one
I
by
do
one.
not have a $60,000 ring.
No. And I'm so glad that Monica goes off on this scene and she just goes on a rant and she starts going after everybody that has been an asshole this trip. She starts going after Angie. She says, Angie lives up Lisa's ass. She's a dog. She's your little lap dog. And Lisa's like, you're not even listening to me. She's like, I can't hear you because your dog's barking too much. I was like, fuck yeah, that's a great dig.
Yep.
But it drove me nuts because it goes to a confessional with Whitney. And Whitney's like, I've never seen this side of Monica before. She's nasty. And it's like, she was pushed to this point because once again, her plight has fallen on deaf ears with Lisa. It's a pretty simple prospect to figure out. It makes me uncomfortable when you talk about money because I'm not as fortunate. Can you please stop doing that in front of me? And maybe be more aware of the people around you. Is it tough to hear, Lisa? Probably.
But she heard it last night.
Thank you.
And she said, I get you. I understand what you're saying. No,
Clearly
you don't.
don't.
You clearly don't. And that's clearly just you. And we're going to have to keep an eye on this moving forward. Anytime that somebody brings an issue up to Lisa, we have to see, and we're going to have to start a counter. Does she say, I get you, I understand that?
And then
And do the same thing again later.
interesting. I like
Because I
that.
feel like that's
Yeah.
what happens. She's not really listening. And that kind of goes, I'm going to segue it back to what Mary was saying. Do you have an off button? She could just be moving in her own brain. She could be that person that somebody else is telling a story. Actually, no, I know she's this person. Somebody else is telling a story and she's not listening to you at all. She's just waiting for her next opportunity to speak
Yeah.
and thinking about what she's going to say.
That's a really good point. But they get to the bar and all hell breaks loose. Everybody's arguing with everybody. They're jumping back and forth. It was really hard to keep track of who was fighting with who, but Whitney calls out Meredith and Lisa for their lack of effort. And that's when Meredith hits her with the, everybody's different people, Whitney. I did my best. I have a splitting headache and possibly a nerve damage. And that's when Whitney's like, okay, Is it a headache? Is it a nerve? Is it a 3-year-old battling some unknown illness? And Meredith loses it. She's like, how dare you?
Right
You are
back to the voice.
disgusting. Like, I love she
The
gets her,
fucking voice of
her
Odin.
yeah. How dare you? Like, she literally drops 18 octaves to go after Whitney. And like, look, could there be a 3-year-old battling some illness that we don't know about that is fucking up your life? Absolutely. Either one, share it with the group, or two, stop referencing it in regards to this, because in Whitney's favor, she's like, you're not going to hold me emotionally hostage with this. And it kind of is by not diving into it and just being vague, like, hey, I'm dealing with this 3-year-old who has an illness. It's really hard to have any kind of retort there without sounding like an asshole.
Yeah.
And Whitney weirdly doesn't sound like an asshole because, like you said, you would have said the same fucking thing.
Yep.
And while this is going on, Monica calls Angie a pit bull and, like, poof, out of left field, like out of fucking nowhere. Angie just pops her head in and goes, "What'd you call me?" And she's like,
Angie's
called
just
you-"
always lurking, just waiting to try to get a little bit of screen time
But
somewhere.
that just paints you the perfect picture of who Angie is. She
Yep.
is the outsider looking in. She does not fit in with this group because she is not cut out to be a housewife.
Yep.
She's trying to find every opportunity, every angle to jump in. You know how you can do yourself a favor here? Stay at the table, finish your drink, let them talk their shit, and then you come up with a better game plan on how you're going to counter it instead of just bobbing in there and trying to get their attention because you have now fucked with the quote unquote cool kids of RHOSLC, and now they're not even listening to you.
Yep.
Meredith is turning her back to you while Monica makes jokes at your expense saying you're a pit bull and a chihuahua and you can't even defend yourself because they won't let you get a word in. There's no worse place to be in than that position because now you are defenseless. You can't say anything because the group has entirely muted you out. And that is your own fault. That's your own doing because you did crawl up Lisa's ass. You are her lapdog. These are all true things. And you take umbrage with her calling you a pit bull. And then Whitney comes out of nowhere and she's like, you shouldn't call women that. And it's like, what the fuck? Who's arguing with who? Who's on whose team here? Like,
It was really confusing. I had to watch it twice. I had no idea who was talking to who. I didn't know where the allegiances were. I didn't know who was defending who, who's insulting who. And also, you can't call anybody a pit bull, right? I don't, is that like a thing? Let's also take away the stigma of pit
Mr.
bulls.
305.
I like pit bulls. Pit bulls are cool
Oh, I
dogs.
thought she was calling her pit bull.
That would be funnier.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. 305. Huh.
Dale.
Fireball. I am delirious. But it ends with, and I just wrote down, Whitney's trying to do too much. She's also inserting herself everywhere. And I think that she sees this season as her opportunity to take center stage now that she has separated from Heather last season. She's kind of on her own right now, trying to do the most. It's not coming off great, in my opinion. I wrote right here, Heather continues to be the MVP of the season, her and Monica, and Heather only because she knows her role this year. I fucked up last year. Sit back, let these women do their thing, have a funny one-liner, chime in, and this is the Heather I fell in love with the first 2 seasons. I'm not fully back on board yet. I like the route she's going. Monica is killing it.
Yeah.
She is fantastic. Her comebacks are great. Her arguments make sense, which we don't get a whole lot of that. So I love that the arguments make sense. And my favorite thing, when she goes off on a rant, it's consistent. Like there's a start, there's a middle, there's an end. Everything connects.
Yep.
And I get what point she's trying to make.
Yeah. No, that does make a lot of sense. And I'm interested to see how the viewers kind of warm up to Monica or don't.
So
because
far,
it is like a
she's been
weird,
received well.
and it is like a really interesting addition to a housewife group that honestly, like Salt Lake, Mormon money, look at all this money, look at all of our things that we have going on here. We're going to talk about our labels the whole time. To throw somebody in there who, for lack of a better word, understands the middle class
Common man.
into the common man into a housewife show
Common man or
where
woman.
this has been a full-on just showcase of how much money people have. To throw somebody into the middle of that, and obviously she knows how to speak, she knows how to talk. We know about her past, so
Sure.
there's some issues there. That's fine. Everybody's got fucking issues though. Not going to excuse that. But she's showing up in a completely different way than we've ever seen on a housewife show. So it's going to be interesting to see how the viewers like that or don't like that.
I agree because we have seen gripes in the past with other housewives in
Yeah.
which they're like, they don't have the glamorous lifestyle. That's why I watch this show, blah, blah, blah. I know you and you know me, and like we appreciate having this vantage point, like this perspective is really interesting. And I think it is because of how she goes about it. I think if
Yeah.
you put somebody in the same position that doesn't have the same approach and that isn't tough enough to go up against these women, like she doesn't back down. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that she goes up to Heather and who else was sitting there? Was it Meredith? And she says, "Is Angie Lisa's little bitch?" And they're like,
Yep.
"Yep." And she's like, "Yeah, boom." And then she comes and she goes, "What'd you say?" And she's like,
Just like lurking around in the background, just bobbing back and
just
forth. Like,
pops
What
back in,
the
"What'd
hell
you
did you say
say?"
about me?
And she goes, "Well, you're a trampoline with eyes," and like walks away.
I'm gonna have your whole family
I'm
murdered.
I'm gonna call a hit out on everybody you've ever talked to, or I'm gonna make a T-shirt. It's a flip of a coin at this point. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I'll let you know. Like, I just there's clearly a power rankings here. We'll do that next week, I think. But as of right now, Monica, keep doing what you're doing. Angie, you need a complete overhaul of your game plan here because your playbook is not working. Mary, wild card, I don't know yet.
Keep doing what you're doing. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I need,
Steal
but
would it?
again,
We need more.
I just want
Slippery slope. I just don't want her on the screen all the time.
so here's the thing. It's not that I want her involved in the conversation
Yeah.
directly. I want to hear how she would like comment on it, even if it's just a confessional and she's in the background, but she witnesses it.
Right.
That I'm not saying I need her in the argument because I don't think she's going to bring anything of substance to it. I think it's going to kind of derail the argument.
Yeah.
I just want her commentary. That's it.
Yeah, I could use her more at the bar at the end of the show than I
Yes.
obviously could have during the trust fall thing, because the trust fall thing is just like the snowball fight. It's such a mismatch of everybody kind of running around and doing shit that like you're not going to get a lot of content there as it is.
Agreed.
I'm okay with her stepping out of that, but yeah, throw her in the bar scene later, and I want to see what she says because she obviously has an issue with Whitney. She obviously has an issue with Lisa. So as soon as they start up and anything happens, she's going to chime in and say something.
And that's what I just
Yeah.
want that. So
I agree
that's
with that. Okay.
I agree with you on the trust fall scene. I don't need her there. I would like to hear her retorts just being a third party watching all of that transpire at the bar. All right, but I'm obviously not out on Mary Cosby. She's Mary Cosby. Like
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
one of a kind.
She is what she is.
Yeah. But that takes us to the question portion of the show. And we've got Jesus, a lot of questions. So let's dive right into this. Let's start with some RHOSLC ones. Actually, no, we're going to start with this one from Born with Finn. Why don't you root for the Flyers or 76ers? Because they're not playing right now, dude.
Easy answer to that. They both suck.
They both suck.
They
but
both
at
are.
the same time, like we are Sixers fans, and we have to watch them suffer every season and ruin our hopes and
I
dreams.
said it on this show before, and I'll say it again. I am not going to watch the Sixers until March.
Yeah, like we are fans of both of those teams. The Flyers have been in shambles for years. It's tough to watch, especially with our boy Claude Giroux, who deserves more. I love Claude, and he never got anything from this city, and it sucks. It really sucks. I am actually a big hockey fan. I think it's one of the most fun sports to go to live.
Live, I think it's the best.
It's fucking
Yeah.
great. So yeah, we are Flyers and Sixers
Electric.
fans. We had to watch the James Harden shit.
Yeah,
The
what do you want me to
playoffs
say
away.
about the Sixers right now?
Yeah, that
They're
we're
in
depressed
fucking
about them.
shambles.
Yeah, that we're sad all the time because of them.
Worry about trade scenarios
Yeah,
or not?
dude, back off, Born with Finn. And he sent like 3 eyeball emojis like we don't know. Get out of here. Sorry. Moving on. For Marissa and Palma, do you think Monica's coming in too hot, trying too hard by going after Lisa immediately?
No, I honestly, I can understand why you would think that, but it seems, and this is really all I ask for on these shows, it seems organic.
It does.
She is only talking about the things that Lisa has talked about herself.
Absolutely.
She's not bringing in other things that she's heard from Jenn,
Hasn't
which
forced.
we kind of thought about that she might do, and she hasn't been doing that.
Well, she
She's-
referenced it in the first episode, but she has not used it
No,
once.
not yet. And I hope she doesn't,
I do
because
too.
honestly, you keep it on screen, you keep it for what we understand and what we see.
Actually, she used Jen Shaw this episode in a very organic and real way. She's like, you were all Jen Shaw's assistants. You
Yeah.
all did favors for her, and that was that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
It's
it
like
kind
when
of knocks everybody down, because that's the only thing that you're obviously, you can go after the whole brother-in-law thing if you want to. That's low-hanging fruit. But you can go after her for being the whole Jen Shaw assistant. But when she comes back with that, it kind of knocks you off. There's nothing else you can do.
1000%. From Danielle Moskop, will Tamra be paused this time permanently after this season?
The whole show should be stopped.
I really genuinely think they're going to take a really, really hard look at OC after this season. And I'm not talking reboot. I think they're going to look at this franchise and say, do we need to bring it back?
I don't think you do. You've got Beverly Hills out there.
You've got some other ones doing
Salt
decent
Lake
things
does
right now.
well. You know, you can put it on pause. You got Miami coming back to Bravo. It's not on
I think
Peacock.
that's it. I think you put the franchise on an extended pause like they did with Miami, reevaluate in a few years.
Yep.
But no, don't
But
bring
don't
her
bring
back.
any of them back.
No. Pause, reboot. A pause boot.
Pause boot.
Yeah, I like a
that,
pause
yeah.
boot. From Vix B, do we really think Tamra was mocking Heather on her podcast? Teddi was quick to call. Yeah, did you hear it? What are you talking about? You heard her do it.
Did she mock Heather, who said it originally?
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, I think the Tamra's the one who said it, and she passed it up on Heather.
Yeah, and then she got caught in a lie and does what Tamra does and tried to spin a web. I was being facetious or whatever the fuck she said.
It would be a really weird move for Teddi and Tamra to have an inside joke and not provide any additional context that Heather was the one who said it.
Absolutely.
They didn't do that. You could have easily, you're listening to, or you're doing a podcast that millions of people are listening to for whatever fucking reason.
Ugh.
You're not going to say, oh, Heather's the one who said that on top of it to apply a little bit more pressure and shade.
Yep.
Instead, you're just going to leave it alone. Like, no, that just doesn't seem, they're not smart enough to do that.
Last one, and I like this one a lot. And this is a repeat question asker. So she has good ones. So I try to get new people in here. There's a lot of new ones this time, but from Christy Jedlicki, this is a good question. And we might have to think about it for a sec, but I want to get through this one. What would your drag name be?
Ooh.
What were some of theirs? One was
I don't remember their names.
Anita Invite, which was actually funny from Angie.
Yeah.
That was decent. Mine should be easier because my name's Steele. I feel like there's a layup there somewhere.
I don't know. My brain wasn't expecting to work this hard today.
Oh, Steel Magnolias.
Oh, yeah, I guess that works.
Boom. Yours could be...
Yeah, think of mine for me.
Okay, hold on.
You're the creative one. Could just be Shooter Magooter.
Yeah, but I can do better. Give me like 30 seconds. I'll cut the 30 seconds, guys. Don't worry. Shimmer McGlimmer.
Shimmer McGlimmer. I like that.
That's the best.
That works for me.
Wait a minute. Boom. Here we go. All of yous out there, why don't you message us our drag names?
There we go.
For Steel and Shooter.
I like that.
Send us those. We will pick out some of our favorites next week, and we will read our drag names to you.
That works perfectly.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we got. I'm not even going to ask you if you have anything else. Because
I do.
No, you don't.
Go Birds.
Oh, yeah. Okay, go Birds. Thank you. No, that one I'll accept. But I need to go eat something greasy and gross and then curl up in the fetal position and sleep before I have to teach class in the morning. So for all of yous out there, as Shooter Magooter said, go Birds, big one tomorrow, conference game. We're going to take down the Commanders. We're going to spank their asses, and we're going to come out 4-0.
4-0.
That's right.
Maybe the last undefeated team once again.
BravBros are out of here.
See you Wednesday.
Go Birds.
Bye.